Here's the thing that a lot of gym owners don't want to really say is that the retention is amazing with their OGs. All right, those first 100 to 200 members, they're keeping them for many years. I'm not the biggest fan of free trials because you just give people an easy out. And I heard another founder who grew $1 billion business being interviewed and asked, what's the number one thing if you took over any company today? What's the first thing you're gonna do? And he said, I'm always gonna concentrate on.
This is the Reinforce Your Gym podcast with your host, Dustin Vogel. This show is about arming gym owners with the tools, strategies, and lessons they need to take their business to the next level. That way, they can make a greater impact in their community. Now, let's get to work and reinforce your gym.
Hey, gym owners, today I'm giving you a coaching product reality check, all right? I am not here to badmouth. I'm not here to trash anyone. I am here to just give you a wake-up call because too many gym owners are turning a blind eye to this, okay? They are blaming Facebook ads and leads not booking as the reason that they are not growing. But if you look at your numbers, a lot of times I find that gyms have a retention issue, and that comes down to your coaching product. So today we're going to take a look at your coaching product. And hey, even if you're in a healthy spot, make it healthier. And if you're in an unhealthy spot, let's get you to industry standards so that you can have a growing business. All right. And if you guys don't know me, my name is Dustin Bogle. I was a gym owner. I had 6 locations and sold those and now run Gym Reinforcements, where I help other gym owners to grow their business with marketing and lead nurture. But this is a topic I don't get to talk about a whole lot. And it's how I grew to 6 locations. It's because I knew location 1 had amazing retention. And when I poured marketing dollars on it, it grew, which then allowed me to invest in location 2 and so on and so forth. But a lot of times gym owners are so front door focused, which means like inviting people in, that they're not locking the back door and making sure they're retaining people. Here's the thing that a lot of gym owners don't want to really say is that the retention is amazing with their OGs. All right, those first 100 to 200 members, they're keeping them for many years. But a lot of times they're new members who become a member and pay their rates every month, turn and burn within 3 to 6 months, which means they are just resting on the laurels of their OGs and flexing their ability to retain people on old members that they've had for years, but they're not as skilled at doing that with new members. And that is something they need to button up so that they can grow to the next level. Because yes, you need to acquire more clients, but I'm going to talk about how having an amazing coaching product is the little secret engine that really grows the gym, and marketing and ad spend and paid advertising is just a little bit of extra gasoline to put on that fire, right? So guys, let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about the symptoms versus the disease, okay? So this is, like I said earlier, what gym owners think the problem is that they're looking at the symptoms, that Facebook leads are trash and people these days are just not serious, or my market's price sensitive, or we need better sales scripts. If we say the right words in the right order, people will then come on board. But a lot of times, guys, I'm just being honest because I'm not someone who just remotely is saying this from my computer at home. I've walked into hundreds of gyms. I ran coaching workshops and I ran gym owner workshops. And I would go to a bunch of gyms in the area and sample coaching products so I can see what's out there. And I'll tell you guys, 9 out of 10 times, I wasn't really impressed, right? Like the coach didn't have a lot of energy. They weren't using first names. They weren't doing just the basics. And that's what's great for you is that the bar is so low to blow people's minds, right? And so the actual problem with causing a lot of gyms to not grow is the coaching program is not delivering on the promise. They're putting whatever kind of flashy promise they want on their ads, but then people come in and they don't get what was promised. Or their trial program is very forgettable. It really wasn't that remarkable. It's just a workout, right? There was no emotional connection built between client and coach. And you say on the ads, you sell transformation, but the honest truth is you're just selling workouts, right? You're a workout dealer. And that is very transactional. So again, I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm making it so that you have like a honest inside look at yourself and decide, is this something I need to take action on? Is this an area that we can improve on? And it might not even be your entire coaching staff. It might be one coach that needs to grow in this area, right? But this is the good stuff that we need to look at as gym owners. So here's a good question to ask yourself. would you be excited to come back if you came into that first workout, right? Try to remove yourself as being the owner and say, if I walk in and I did this workout as a trial member, would I love it and want to come back and say, I'm hungry for more? And then the second question is, can you honestly say your day one experience is world class? Meaning, is it actually an experience or was it a workout? Right? People want experiences these days. They'll happily pay to go to Disneyland or go to that restaurant that has the cool Instagrammable background to just get out of their homes and have an experience. And that includes your workouts, right? It shouldn't just be smashing someone's legs on leg day. It's really creating an experience, okay? So I'm going to go over common coaching product issues that hold gyms back from growing and then give you a fix for each one of them, all right? So first one is what I call a non-starter. That means someone who has bought a trial or claimed a trial and never even used it, right? I don't know if this is something that's happened with you, but here are common reasons, because what the problem behind this is they were not what we would call activated. Someone who bought a trial and then used it, the trial's been activated. These are, people who never activated it. So here's what causes that. Zero onboarding, right? You just said, you bought your trial, we'll see you Monday for your first workout. That is not going to work for a lot of people. People who are comfortable in the gym, they will be happy to jump right in and start working out. But if this is someone coming from couch potato status or desk jockey or someone that's just sitting a lot, never been to a gym, doesn't work out, that will freak them the hell out. There's so many concerns and fears and anxieties running through their mind. Am I going to be the most out of shape person? Will I be able to do the workout? Am I going to be the person holding the group back? So having no onboarding is a huge miss. And that's what causing people to just say, you know what, I bought the trial, but I'm just not going to do it, right? The second is that there was no accountability after the sign up, or I should say no reach outs, right? You signed up and they got like an automated email and there wasn't someone calling them, selling them on showing up. Again, this is where you'd want to put an onboarding session in place, whether you do it before their first session or you have just a separate meeting in the gym and then from there you book their first session. But that's a missing component is just no reach out. Like we're so hungry to follow up with leads and get them to buy. Then they buy and then we stop doing reach out or all the caring. And that has to be something that you do not do, right? As I mentioned, the intimidation factor, especially if you're a gym that, again, you're going to have like longer sessions, like 45 to 60-minute sessions, or you tend to have a lot of fit people on your marketing. This is going to intimidate people. They might buy your trial, but they might not come in because they're in their head, right? And then the last thing is just logistical confusion. Like you'd be surprised. People look for the littlest thing to stop them from getting started on their program. And it could be they didn't tell me where to park. They didn't tell me what to wear. They didn't tell me if I should get there early. And so I got busy and I was supposed to go to 8 a.m., but they didn't tell me what happens if I need to reschedule. So you know what? Screw it. Abandoning the trial. And especially if the price was so low that it's an amount that's not going to make someone flinch, or especially if it's free. That's why, again, I'm not the biggest fan of free trials because you just give people an easy out. Yes, it's an easy in, but it's such an easy out to never get started, never come in and never use it because there's no skin in the game. So these are the causes of non-starters. So like, what's the fix? It's have a proper onboarding. If you make a sale, you got to add some onboarding steps right after, or you got to move them into a proper onboarding before they go into their session, right? Here's how we differ in a fitness class mindset than a personal trainer. No personal trainer would sell a session, let someone walk in and just give them a workout. What would they always do? They would do a really deep intake, right? They would want to look at their movement assessment. They would want to get them on an in-body. They would ask a ton of questions and then they would design a custom program. But class-based gyms just start throwing people into workouts. And I would say change your mindset into thinking of it more like a personal training or coaching program. And then just say we just deliver our workouts in a group format. That will serve you, and that will stop these people from not dropping off and not starting. All right. So that's the first group of people affected by your coaching product. We didn't even get into coaching. This is like a lot of onboarding. But that's, to me, it's going to start to show the signs of your coaching product if you don't have a proper onboarding. All right. So let's move to the second group that are affected by your coaching product. And these are people you could label as a quitter, but they just drop off in a trial, right? Like, so that's say they bought a 30-day trial, 2 weeks in, they ghost you. They stop coming in. So how does this connect it to your coaching product? Well, here's a few warning signs to look out for if this is something that you're seeing with your trials. They do one or two sessions and disappear, or they attend for 1 or 2 weeks and disappear. They stop responding to your messages. They were super engaged and then they just completely gave you the cold shoulder. They just are not booking. They have no other sessions booked ahead in advance. And they just have said to you things like maybe if they did reply, I'm too busy or I'm not ready right now. So you just see the signs of like, okay, they're not committed. They're not in the right headspace, and you start pointing the finger. But here's the real reasons that this tends to happen. They didn't feel welcomed or remembered, right? So like, if you make someone feel seen in a group environment and make them feel welcomed at their first session, and make them feel remembered that you know them and their goals, and it feels more personalized, people will complete their trial. A lot of times I have found, again, when my coaches drop the ball or other gym owners that I talk to, the real reason these people are quitting is they're like, went in, nothing, nothing that great, right? The experience felt very transactional, not transformational. It was just like, I give you money, you give me workouts. And that's a plague in the fitness industry. It also could be, again, remember, if you're getting beginners in there, you could have just kicked their ass and they're embarrassed to show up. They don't want to be the person walking with like the, super sore legs, or they can't, move. And they just need someone to call them and give them grace. You know what? Hey, it's very common. If you haven't worked out in a long time, you're going to be super sore. You're going to feel like you're in a full body cast. That is normal. It definitely reduces in intensity the more you work out. So like, let's get you booked in. And in the meantime, I want you to walk and stretch and drink lots of water. And, again, your body will replenish. Sometimes they are thinking literally, this must be how fitness people live their lives every day. I can't do this. This is crazy. I won't be able to function in my day-to-day life. I'm done, right? But because a coach didn't reach out to them and explain this to them, then, again, they're just gonna bail. And now you have a a quitter. You have someone that's just not continuing, right? No one checked in with them between sessions. Again, the beginning, you need to give a lot of hand-holding, a lot of check-ins. Otherwise, people have questions, and if no one's reaching out to allow them to ask questions, they'll just keep them to themselves and they'll just quit, right? And this is common again in group fitness, because if someone arrives right at the session beginning and then you have like back-to-back sessions, there's no like downtime for them to then talk to a coach and get their questions answered. So if no one's calling or texting them outside of the gym, they don't ever get those questions answered, and so then they quit. Gym owners, I don't want you to have the reputation in town as the gym that doesn't call people back, all right? We know it's critical when someone's finally made a decision to get healthy and fit that we get to them as quickly as possible. This can be solved by plugging in our remote sales reps, okay? It's not AI, it's not a bot, it's a real human that's working on your leads, the new ones that come in from your ads and the old leads in your database. And they're there to qualify the leads, to ask them discovery questions, and to make sure they're a good fit. And then their job is to move them forward in your sales process so that you get more members month over month. All right, if you want to learn about our remote sales reps, go ahead and go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call, and we'll tell you more about it. See you then. And then the final thing is there's no quick wins or progress, okay? 2 weeks in, maybe they really thought by now they would have lost a pound or 2 or 3, and nothing has changed. And because, again, they're not talking to a coach, they're not getting help, they just quit. They just think that the program stinks and it doesn't work. In all reality, as you and I know, people are impatient. They need to focus on the nutrition. There's a lot of causes behind it. But without education, without check-ins, this is why, again, the coaching product can really cause problems and hurt your ability to grow. So we talked about non-starters. We talked about, again, you can label them quitters, but I would, say like they're drop-offs, like they bought a trial and then they just didn't finish the trial. The third group is like they finished the trial, but now they do not become a member, right? And so this is another cause of the coaching product. So if they finish the trial, but they don't convert, here's a few reasons, okay? Number one, they didn't build emotional connection. The coach didn't feel like they got to know them as a person. Who am I? Like, do you see me in this group of people as an individual? That is important, okay? You didn't demonstrate maybe unique value. Maybe they saw, okay, I've seen this song and dance before. I'm going to go to this other gym that I found at a lower price that does a very similar thing. What makes you unique? Okay, that makes you have a category of one that no one can price shop you against. They didn't feel like they were included in the community, so that's why it's so important to welcome them at their first session, whether you do it, in the session is one way that I like to do it, or you post about it if you have like a members group, something to make them feel like, from a standpoint that it almost feels like ceremonial, like this, all members cross this threshold, all members come in and are announced this way. You are now one of us. You are in the tribe. Right? That's a huge miss if you're not doing that. Showing measurable progress. It doesn't have to be fat loss. It could be that they're sticking to their habit, right? They're coming 3 times a week and over 30 days they did 12 workouts. Say, hey, last month you told me you did zero. You did 12 workouts. Amazing progress, right? Show them something measurable, numerical, that things are moving in the right direction. Of course, again, you can do an in-body scan, but sometimes nothing does change in a month, right? If the person's got a lot of body fat to lose, well, what are you going to go with? We want to look at strength improvements. We want to ask them about stress levels. We want to ask them about their sleep quality. You want to talk about habits they're doing well. Something measurable, because something's always going right when you're working out regularly, right? And then addressing their deeper why and creating that long-term plan. If it's just, again, very transactional money for workouts, that's what's going to cause people to not convert to membership. Okay. So these are all the things that we need to do. We need to make sure that number one, there's results, there's relationships, and there's community. All right. Those are your three boxes to check. Did they get a result? It could be fat loss. It could be they did, 3 workouts a week. It could be that they got stronger. Show it to them, show them a result. Okay. That will get people to convert. Second, relationship. What is your system to get someone connected community wise to someone else in the gym? Like introducing them to other people in their sessions, introducing them to the group, making sure they're meeting all the coaches. Your goal is to get as many relationships stoked, right? So that they stay in this gym, because it's hard to quit a relationship. Coaches should know their name, right? They should know their goals. They should make them feel valued. That is really going to make that relationship foster. And then the third part is community, right? You almost want them to start to identify the gym as a part of themselves, right? Like a tribe that I have joined, and that's going to also make it hard to leave. So if you have any upcoming events they can attend, if you have a group chat for just members, if you give them a shirt, anything that just starts to morph their identity to start say, I am part of these people. These are my people, right? This tribe I have joined. Those are the 3 boxes you want to check in a trial program. You want to make sure they're getting a result, building relationships, and feeling like part of a community. Okay. So that will help improve your conversions. Of course, I'm not going to touch on sales on this episode, but you got to have a good sales process buttoned up too. A lot of times, the reason trials are missed, if you have a good coaching product, just no one asks them if they want to continue. And so no one asked them. And trust me, I literally have heard members say that. Like I called them and like, hey, wanted to get feedback. You did a trial program. Why didn't you sign up? Honestly, I just didn't know the pricing. No one came up to me and told me. I would have stayed. Oh my gosh, like let's fix that right now. So that's again for another time, but for now we're talking coaching. All right. Now, here is a way to look at your coaching product. Really, this is what you sell. And I heard another founder who grew a $1 billion business being interviewed and asked, what's the number one thing if you took over any company today, what's the first thing you're gonna do? And he said, I'm always gonna concentrate on the product until I feel like it's achieved raving status. Okay, raving fan status, meaning people are posting about it on social media, they're telling their friends, and like your clients are basically becoming your salespeople. He's like, until it's at that stage, I just keep working on the product. All right. That's something we need to hear more in the fitness industry, because at the end of the day, that's what you're selling. You don't have a physical product that you put in people's hands that you wrap up and people can gift each other. You have a service. That's your product. And that means your product's your people. And the more you develop your people, the more you feedback your people, the more you coach your people, the better the product is to your clients, right? So here's signs that your coaching product might need some work. Number one, coaches are leaning a little too heavily on announcements to groups of people or just the whole session or all clients. I call these hey guys announcements or hey guys statements. They're not doing a lot of personal connection with clients. Okay. So it might be announcing things at the end of the session. Hey guys, don't forget we're doing this. Hey guys, don't forget about this policy. Hey guys, like, good job today. Those are very transactional statements. When a coach walks up to you and says, hey, you, Dustin, you did great on today's push-ups. Hey, Dustin, I see you get stronger week by week. I internalize that way more, right? And that makes me feel seen. So if your coaching product is leaning a little bit more towards, hey guys, and not enough, hey you, that would be the first thing is, hey coaches, we need to make this personal. Can't be lazy, can't be just doing group announcements and shout outs. You have to do personal announcements. So like for us, our standard was they had to go up to 3 clients every session and give 3 clients a personal shout out. Could be before the session begins, could be after, but that was the quota to make sure that this was systematically happening. All right. Second, sessions, they should also have those personal modifications, right? You can say, hey, here at station 1, we're doing this, and station 2, you're doing that. And if your knee hurts you, then just go ahead and do this instead. Yeah, that's a good way to like prime everyone with knee pain to do things differently. But again, you notice that's like a hey guys statement. I want to watch their movement and I want to go over and I want to give a personal modification. And I want to say, hey, I know, Susan, you got a bad knee. So here's what I want you to do. Instead of this, we're going to do that. And now I'm getting personal coaching as well. The compliments are good, but we need the coaching. And then the third C that I call, the 3 C's of a coaching product, you need to have, be that celebrated coach. So that's like the shout outs. You need to have the corrections, like that's the form. And then you need to be pushed, right? And so essentially you need to be challenged. That's the third C. And so the other way to make the sessions personalized is give them, based on what you see with their fitness level, more of a push and more of a challenge, right? So you can put manual, like manual resistance on someone so that as they're curling the bar, you push against it yourself as the coach. Or, of course, I know the easy one is more weight. It could be you change their tempo, you make them slow down, you make them speed up. These are all ways to challenge your client. So if they're getting those 3 C's in their session, they're being challenged, they're being corrected, and they're being celebrated and cheered. Like these are the things that make the coaching product great. But it's got to be personal. It can't be just general where it's to everyone. Okay. Coaches obviously got to be high energy, enthusiastic, love what they do. That's just par for the course. And they also got to have ability to meet with a coach to get a custom plan, right? And so like if your members are not on a plan and they're kind of just showing up and working out, that's going to lead to attrition problems. So that is what you want to be doing to improve your coaching product. So here's a couple things you can do. Number one, first have your team do a self audit. Have them film themselves running a session. And then the first thing they should do is feedback themselves, right? Because people tend to be their harshest critic. Let them feedback themselves. Because if you were going to give them feedback, but they do it to themselves, it just saved you having to do a tough conversation, right? And so do that. Second, have a friend or family member be a secret shopper. Say, hey, could you come through and do a workout tomorrow or next week and just give me your honest feedback? Like, what do you see that maybe I don't see? Sometimes you need that outsider's perspective because everything kind of just can become white noise when you're at your own gym every single day. You stop seeing details, okay? Then the next thing is feedback surveys. If a trial doesn't convert, ask them to fill out a survey, right? And so you could throw a gift at them, hey, $10 Starbucks gift card, or we'll extend your trial, we'll give you an extra week if you can fill this out for me because we're really big into feedback. That will get you a lot of information you need to understand why are people not converting. They'll tell you, right? That's the most amazing feedback you can get is straight from the horse's mouth of your clients. And then the final part is go compare to your competitors. Go take a session at a neighboring gym, see what they got going on and see what all the hype is about, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I tended to be friends with a lot of the local gym owners and I go take sessions just to, first I want to go talk with them, talk business, but I'm like, hey, you mind if I catch a session just because I want to see what their coaching product was like, right? So that is how you do a coach product audit, okay? But I'm going to give you one final thing, which is my coaching excellence checklist, okay? These are the things that like is par for the course to make a coach excellent, okay? Number one, your coach has got to be saying all of your clients by first name basis, okay? And minimum 3 times per session, they should be saying all clients by their first name. That makes it a very personal experience, okay? Second, Every client gets at least one piece of feedback on their form, or it could be, again, celebratory, or it could be a challenge. Like, hey, you need to push yourself more. One of those three C's need to happen to every single client, okay? Coaches got to be there early and stay after to connect with clients. They cannot bounce or show up right at the start of a session. Definitely no. Form corrections are specific and helpful so that they can, continue to get better results. Energy and enthusiasm has to be contagious. When I'm interviewing a coach, I'm saying, will my clients yearn to be here and be around this person? Like they are driving to the gym because they cannot wait to see this coach. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want dull, just again, people that just take all the energy out of the room because they don't bring any energy to it, right? People are either energy givers or energy vampires. And so I'm looking for energy givers because my clients are going to be coming in tired, exhausted, and need to be filled up, right? They need their cup filled up. And then finally, the members feel like they matter. All right. That is a huge thing every coach should be working towards. I know a coach's brain can lean heavily into programming and form correction and all these types of things, but they got to really master the soft skills of making members feel cared for. Okay. So that's it, guys. Like I said, you can't outmarket a bad product. In fact, if your coaching product is good, you should be getting lots of referrals. You should have healthy retention. And then when you pour marketing spend on top of that, that's when things explode, right? But when you have a difficult situation, it's because the coaching product stinks and you're trying to, fix it and put a Band-Aid on it by pouring more marketing dollars to fill up all the members you're losing. Nothing will grow. No good is going to happen in your business until that is dialed in. All right. So industry standard, 5% or less is what you want for attrition, which the inverse word is 95% retention or better. Okay. I really would like you to be at 96% retention or 4% attrition. That's when you start to see some really healthy gains. So whether you're in that neighborhood, try to just move up a notch, go up a percentage or quarter. Just like you're trying to get more leads, just like you're trying to get more sales, try to improve your retention numbers, okay? And that is when you're going to see the big leaps in your EFT or MRR growth is when that is dialed in. So guys, hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, tag me on social media, give me a 5-star review. It helps me to keep going here with that podcast when I see that the word is getting out about the podcast. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Hey, gym owners, let's face it, you probably don't love digital marketing. You probably don't want to go into Facebook and load the ad up and think of ad copy and creatives and optimize it daily. Well, hand that over to me and my team because we're geeks about marketing and we want to flood your gym with new members so you can change their life. Let us do what we do best. All right, go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call. Don't bring the credit card. It's not a hard pitch. It's just a conversation to see if we're a good fit. Talk soon.